I have a confession that while I'm pretty good with computers, I have never set up a server in my life, nor do I know how to, nor do I know its real purpose. And
it just connects the tubes to the internet.
it connects the two. Why do you need another computer and another entire computer for that? That makes no sense to me. I already have a computer.
It is the tube junction that lets your tubes connect.
Sebastian, can you talk a little bit about how to set up a Foundry server? Is that something?
Sure, totally. I mean, you said, right, you would never set up a server, and I guess most people haven't, right? So Foundry works in two ways, kind of, right? One is basically the standalone mode. So the GM would host, basically. So your own computer, your MacBook, whatever, would basically open up the server, and then it's on your machine, on your internet connection, basically, right? But what we did, especially we hosted in a network center in Portland, I think it's the one you're using is hosted.
We're buying server space. You're not using your own server. We're getting server space from a company.
Yes. Yeah. So you can basically think of it Google hosting our Foundry, kind of.
I'm the club head, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know.
It's good. You don't need to know it. That's why you got tech people to help out.
And it's not only Foundry. In this case, we also have a second instance, which is the LiveKit one. So it's basically like the Zoom replacement, right? So Foundry has this internal AV setup where you can not only have the canvas, the playing canvas, but you also, right, you can just like log on the app and play and have your webcam set up.
Each VTT has its like pros and cons, and how I've used a bunch just in passing. The main two I'm used to are Roll20 and Foundry.
Yeah.
I started with Roll20 a long time ago, even before Critical Role was a thing. I was live streaming Batman and Ravenloft, just getting like people rolling dice and talking on camera. That was enough, and I used Google Hangouts, which was really good for it. And Roll20 had an integration into Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
And then Google Hangouts updated itself and removed all of its in-apps, like all of the app integrations.
Google Hangouts Google literally just murdered Google Hangouts for a while.
Yeah.
They were just like, no, we're shelving this and you can't really use it anymore. You have to like dig in to find even how to get to it.
The video chat within Roll20 was atrocious at the time. I don't know if it's that way anymore right now because I've mainly been using Foundry. And
I was just about to ask, do they still have it? I've never used it.
The Roll20...
I think they do,
the Roll20...
It defaults turns on. I tell everybody when they go into Roll20, the first thing to do is turn off, go to the little gear icon and turn off the video and voice chat features and just turn on Zoom or Discord or whatever else we're using because we can't use Roll20.
What was so bad about it? Like,
it would do voice stutters. It would just lose video every once in a while. We'd have dropped all the time. It was pretty bad.
The RTC was really, really poor quality. Not only that, but if you, depending on where you were, I don't know that they had many servers that connected like disparate regions in the United States, let alone if you're in another country. They had multiple server groups to like deploy to that area so that it would lower the like latency or whatever. So if one person is really far away, has like bad internet connection, they're going to be stuttering and like clipping in and out. And we've had it with other people. I mean, we did a Howard's game. Remember, there was like a one shot that Howard was doing. That was a D&D one shot where we all played goblins.
Yes,
and we did that on Roll20, and that the audio and video experience on Roll20 for that was like bad. Grainy audio, really difficult to stay connected. Even me and Sasha were having problems. We have, pretty good internet connection. Two smart techie people.
The Google Hangouts app for Roll20 solved those problems until Google axed that. And then I started using Zoom, and this was years before Zoom blew up.
Yeah, before COVID. Yeah.
Before COVID.
Pre-COVID Zoom. Yeah.
Pre-COVID Zoom. And now that Zoom is kind of the default, I'm moving away from that like a technology hipster trying to be on the bleeding edge.
We all know that you're a hipster at heart.
It was hard to get people to move from the real tabletop to a virtual tabletop.
It was, yeah. Especially when we were so me and Corey are from the same city, and when we were in that city, I think when you have friends in the same like area, close enough in the same area where you can kind of congregate and come like in-person games, I think there's an inclination to just do that. And now there is a completely different kind of feel to this where it's so much easier. I think online gaming has really opened up a space that allows people to like build a community much larger than just being, confined to your local gaming store, which is what it used to be. You go to your local gaming store, you find some nerds to play D&D with, you slap them around in game, obviously, and then you form bonds that way. And then like now it's a completely different mechanism for entry. Like there's a different entry path for anybody to kind of just go on to Discord or just go on to Roll20 and find a gaming group, and now you're playing on Thursdays every day. Yeah, exactly. It's a whole new world.
The pool of people is just way bigger online, right? And I think that's why also conferencing on the tabletop, on the virtual tabletop, is so important, right? I mean, what's a tabletop? Basically, without talking to people, right? Seeing people's reaction, right? You also tell a story as a GM there, right? So you need some feedback from that person, and that's very important. Also, your possibilities are way more, right? I mean, you can do so much more with virtual tabletop than you can do in the physical world, right?
But there is also the technological learning curve to it. Everybody's like, how do I click? Where do I click? How do I roll the die? In Foundry, going from Roll20 to Foundry, Roll20 has your dice right up there in the upper left-hand corner. On Foundry, there is no button to just roll a die. And I am upset about that a little bit. I can just do the /roll D whatever plus whatever, and it works fine. But having that little icon there, the little UI to just click for a die, I feel is so important. It's so much easier for people to understand visual elements.
I'm gonna make a note that I add some module for you after this.
Just understanding how to get around in a virtual tabletop. It takes a little bit of effort and a little bit of memory. How do I ping something? How do I ping something so the entire the map moves to that exact spot for every character, right? How do I make sure that my map is at the right scale so when people move their icon, it shows up as the right amount of distance so they can figure out how long their arrows need to go. There's levels of play. And then I'm at the place where I can't get past APIs or modules in Foundry. Like making my own add-ons, I look at the wikis for this and it's just gibberish to me. Oh, I don't have the time for this and I don't know what they're saying. Like I can do the pings, I can do the distances, I can even make walls that you can look through, you can't look through, invisible walls, permeable walls, all sorts of stuff. I get all of that. Anything that's like a tool, a UI tool to use in the Foundry, I can in any VTT I'm pretty good at. But then APIs and coding and making my own stuff is just, it's a barrier I can't get past. And I know you two guys are probably a lot, that doesn't seem like a problem to you.
Yeah, I mean, first, I think like not everybody should build their own modules or what to say. There's a large community, right? And I get that it's pretty intimidating, especially with Foundry, while it's such a big open source project. But for example, in the V12 that's now currently out, right? They added for example, touring through the app. So when you boot up the world, they give you a little tour, some tooltips and so forth. And also on the left side on the bar, where you have all the tools for building walls, for adding audio and so forth, they have little movies that play basically, and then show you what you can do with this. And it's getting better, right? Because I think they see, right, that people are struggling with this, and they want to help people use the VTT correctly, right?
I've noticed that. I've noticed when I hover over a button, a little picture shows up demonstrating exactly what this button does. And I want to turn those off for myself. I don't know how.
It's really a struggle on from a programming perspective, from a developer perspective. It is difficult to know how much, sometimes you kind of need to be heavy-handed with the tutorialization, because you really need to educate your users on the proper usage of your application. But too heavy-handed of a tutorialization will cause people to do exactly what you just did, which is I hate this. Don't tell me what to do. Let me figure it out. But then there's the opposite side of things where people are I'm so confused, I can't even start. There's just choice paralysis at this point.
That's not it at all. It's that I was told once, and I was told several times, and now I got it. And I wish there was just a little check mark that says "Don't show me this again," that I can just click inside that little pop-up bubble that comes up when I hover. You know, or something in the settings that I can turn. There probably is something in the settings I can turn.
There's probably something. There's probably something.
They just need a tutorial to show you where the tutorial clip off is.
Exactly.
I have to say, Sasha's really great at she doesn't broadcast herself as being a very tech savvy person, and in some ways, she's not as tech savvy, but she is way ahead of the game when it comes to running a digital community. She's been doing this kind of thing for a long time,
her own,
setting up Discord servers.
Yeah, her own Discord Dungeons and Dragons play-by-post thing.
Exactly, and she has been running those for a long time. She has a lot of engagement in those servers, and I have to say, she has come up with ways to try to onboard people into that kind of environment that works pretty well for most people. But it's still difficult. Getting anybody into a new situation, it's hard to tell how. And this is how far technology has come: is that it becomes more and more accessible, but you still have these kind of individuals who struggle to get past that initial boundary, barrier of entry. And then you have others who just zoom right past it, and then they're okay, I don't need any more of the tutorialization. I don't need any more of the onboarding stuff. I heard it once, I'm done, and I can keep moving. But yeah, it's kind of a struggle. You have to weigh those out and try to figure out what to do, how to do that best.
And then there's those people that every game, when you're, and it's the most frustrating thing. Every game, they're just how do I do this again? How do I do everything from the absolute beginning? And you're just
redo it for me from the top.
This is the fifth game, guys.
You also have this in physical games, right? I mean, as a GM, if you sit there and then people ask for root questions or how they should roll the dice, right? And these virtual tabletops, for example, let's take the L5R system, right? Basically, the dice rolling and how what steps you have to take to go through the result basically is already automated, right? So it gives you more time to play and not think so much about the system. While in a physical world, right, when you have the books there, then maybe a new player they don't know, right, and they will look into the book again and so forth.
Because
that's the upside.